Be honest, when you see that bright orange shirt on TV, what's the first thing that hits you? Is it the elegance of a symphony? Or the smell of the storm? Is it the Holy Prophet himself, Johan Cruyff, the man who descended from the heavens to hand down the gospel of total football? Is it Iceman Bergkamp killing a 60-yard pass with one delicate touch? They gave us the black tulips and the swan of Utrecht. Or this guy, the Falcon? Hello? No, that is Edgar Davids, the pitbull, out here hunting ankles with his glasses. Looks, Robben cutting inside for what feels like the 1,247th time. And somehow, scoring again. Or De Jong flying kick, not this De Jong, burying his boots deep into Xabi Alonso's chest. Or the famous Flying Dutchman. This country produces some of the greatest, maybe strangest looking, footballers on earth. Open any page of football history, there's an orange shirt, tucked in a corner or painted across the whole thing. And yet, this country has never won a World Cup. What the hell is going on? It all started with a kid from Amsterdam, Johan Cruyff. He didn't look like a killer, but the absolute second the referee blew the whistle, you realise this guy was operating in an entirely different dimension than the other 21 mortals on the grass. He dropped deep on a whim, drifted wide like a ghost, materialised in pockets of space that physically did not exist a breath ago. The Cruyff turn? Yes, he invented it. He also invented an entirely different sport. Everyone runs until their lungs burn. Everyone attacks. Everyone defends. That is total football. Opponents didn't just lose to the Dutch. They looked utterly dismantled, genuinely dizzy and humiliated. Just unplayable. They swagger into the World Cup final. They tear up the pitch and score before West Germany can even register a single touch of the ball. And somehow, defying all logic, they still lose. 4 years later, they tried their luck again. But this time, the prophet isn't on the plane. A violent break-in at his home in Barcelona. Cruyff survives, but he absolutely refuses to set foot in Argentina. The Dutch drag themselves to another bloodbath of a final without their beating heart. And they lose that one too. The man who literally gave the sport its brain never got to hold its holiest grail. Now we're in the 80s. 3 men. Just look at them. Ruud Gullit, the Black Tulip. You probably met him as a mythical FIFA card first. That legendary Gullit Gang hype. Every single stat over 80. The ultimate card every kid was stealing their parents' cash to pull. The real guy is even more ridiculous. 6'1", flowing iconic dreadlocks. A moustache that violently demanded absolute respect and told you he wasn't taking shit from anybody. He played everywhere. Centre forward, midfielder, sweeper. He even plays music on stage. In an era of smaller, lighter players. He looks terrifying. All right, wait. Is that Gullit? And Gullit? Oh, that's Frank Rijkaard, Gullit's best friend. Same energy. If you're an attacking midfielder, he's your worst nightmare. An absolute unit with a towering physique blocking the centre of the park. You'd think you could just outrun a guy that big. Look at his stride and forget it. He was a freakish 2-for-1, a playmaker and a destroyer. He is one of the most complete, devastating defensive midfielder the sport had ever seen. He and Gullit grow up together. 2 unbreakable titans. Same country, same club. But in order to conquer the world, they need someone to finish the job. And they get themselves a drop-dead gorgeous assassin. His name says it all. Marco van Basten, the Swan of Utrecht. Do not let it fool you. By 1988, he's already clutching a Ballon d'Or. He'll go on to win more. The undisputed king of the planet. His movement through terrified backlines was surgical. First touch, finish, good night. Left foot, right foot, thunderous volley, a glancing header. It genuinely did not matter. The ball's in the net every single time. That year, the Ballon d'Or podium reads Van Basten first, Gullit second, Rijkaard third. 1 podium, 3 Dutch players, 1 team. Euro 1988 is where the trio all clicks together. Van Basten scores that volley in the final against the Soviet Union. Impossible. The Netherlands finally lift a major international trophy. For a fleeting, glorious second, it feels like the dawn of an empire that will terrorise Europe for a decade. Until the Swan of Utrecht's ankle completely shatters. Agonising surgery after surgery. Until there is literally no cartilage left to save. He's forced to hang up his boots at 28. An absolute tragedy. Gullit battles his own failing body and bitter, fiery fallouts with management. Rijkaard quietly fades into the background, drifting away from the national setup. Just like that, the band is gone. 1 single year at the absolute summit together. 1 trophy. It's enough to prove exactly how terrifying they were, but it is nowhere near enough to cure the ache of an unfinished story. What if they had 3 more years to burn it all down? That agonising what if haunts the streets of Amsterdam to this day. But sometimes fate is just a cruel, unforgiving bastard. Alright, enough of the romance, enough of the beautiful game. Let me tell you about the story of 2 bold Dutch men. No, not this 2. This 2. Bruce Lee once said he fears the man who practiced 1 kick 10,000 times. Robben took that personally. Received the ball wide on the right. Cut inside. Dropped the shoulder. Left foot. Bang. Everyone in the stadium knows. The defenders know. The commentator knows. It still went in. Every single time. Then there's Wesley Sneijder. Built entirely different. Not tall. Not blisteringly fast. Not remotely imposing. He looked like a bloke you'd stop on the street to ask for directions to the nearest pub, and you'd believe whatever he told you. Then the ball touched his boots. He becomes the sniper. It didn't matter where he was standing. Outside the box. The angle impossible. He always found the goal. He played balls that only made sense once they were already hanging in the air. And when you place this 2 together, they become the most dangerous, hairless duo in the world. But let's be brutally honest. That 2010 Netherlands squad was ugly. This wasn't the elegant poetry of Johan Cruyff. This was something significantly darker. Hard, cold and dripping with absolute spite. They foul when they need to foul. They sit deep when it suits them. They counter with pace and ruthlessness. Nigel de Jong plants his boot into Xabi Alonso's chest in the final, and somehow still stays on the pitch. Dirk Kuyt runs like he's being chased by a dog. It wasn't romantic football. It was a back alley street fight. And it was terrifyingly effective. They bullied Brazil. They broke Uruguay. They dragged prime, untouchable tiki-taka Spain down into the mud for 116 grueling minutes. At one point, the 2 bold Dutchmen found each other. Sneijder played a beautiful, piercing ball through the entire Spain's defence, placing Robben one-on-one with Casillas. This one did not go in like it's supposed to. Iniesta scores at the other end. 3rd World Cup final. 3rd agonising, gut-wrenching defeat for the Dutch. Four years later, the suffocating Brazilian heat. Group stage. Spain versus the Netherlands. Again, Xabi Alonso scored first, but then a hopeful ball gets launched high over the top. Robin van Persie looks up. He launches himself into the stratosphere. The Flying Dutchman was born. That squad played like absolute maniacs. They completely dismantled and humiliated the defending world champions 5-1. The Orange Storm was back. But you didn't think this story had a happy ending, did you? This is the Netherlands. Semi-final. Argentina. 120 minutes. Nobody gives an inch. The whistle blows and it goes to penalties. The ultimate eternal Dutch curse. Ron Vlaar, the man who had been a literal brick wall all night, steps up, misses. Sneijder, the guy you'd trust with your life, steps up, misses. Another World Cup dream put down from the agonising spot, and then the camera violently cuts to black. The Netherlands failed to qualify in both Euro 2016 and World Cup 2018. For a team built on heartbreak, disappearing might be the cruelest twist of all. January 2018. Liverpool drops £75 million on a centre-back. Let that sink in for a second. 75 million for a defender. Virgil van Dijk. Strikers charge at him. One casual drop of a massive shoulder. The attacker is eating grass and Van Dijk is already walking away. The pundits and rival fans laughed at that price tag on day one. They shut their mouths very, very quickly. Champions League, Premier League, a mountain of individual awards. The best defender on the planet conversation completely died. It wasn't a debate anymore. It was an undisputed, terrifying fact. But for the Netherlands, he meant something infinitely heavier. With that absolute monolith anchoring the backline, the sheer suffocating panic evaporated. The Netherlands stopped being a sad, nostalgic story people told about the 70s and 80s. They became a nightmare the rest of the world had to fear, all over again. Qatar 2022, Lusail Stadium, between the sand dunes of the Middle East. Netherlands versus Argentina. The air is thick with bad blood. Messi on one side, Van Dijk on the other. 73 minutes in, and the script feels sickeningly familiar. 2-0 down. The brave Dutch boys are going out. They gave it a good fight. Messi marches toward his coronation. And the world shrugs and moves on. Then Wout Weghorst checks in. Absolutely nobody on planet Earth had this man penciled in as the main character of a World Cup bloodbath. Slow, clumsy, clueless. All brute force, zero finesses. Just a massive 6'6" tower of meat and bone. He came in just for the header. And it worked. 2-1. The pitch descends into absolute anarchy. Players are getting violently shoved into the dirt. Chests bumped. Benches clear. Names called. Yellow cards flying. It's no longer a football match. It's a pub brawl in front of 88,000 screaming people. Then comes the 100th minute. Free kick. Last chance. The ball is rolled short into the wall, slipped into his feet. One twist. One shot. 2-2. Goes to penalties. The eternal, suffocating Dutch curse rears its ugly head. Virgil van Dijk, the untouchable captain, taking responsibility on his own shoulders. He misses.
Lautaro Martinez! Argentina march on! Messi's still alive! Argentina still alive!
And the curse is still alive. Weghorst turns out to be nothing more than a defeated villain, drowned out by the deafening roar of Messi's adoring world. So here we are, the absolute end of the line. One final World Cup. Virgil van Dijk is staring down his mid-30s. This is the last bullet in the chamber. Do or die. 15 years of being the most terrifying defender breathing. That legacy is already carved in stone. But what isn't written, what no Dutch player has managed to bleed onto the page, is the final sentence. The one that permanently brands a golden star above that lion. Let's stop pretending for a second and look at the squad standing around him. This is not a golden generation. To be brutally honest, this squad is just a shadow of the titans that came before them. Xavi Simons was supposed to be part of the climb. An ACL tear in April ends that story before it starts. Gakpo, De Jong, Frimpong, Mickey van der Ven, fastest defender in the Premier League. Gravenberch and Reinders, two guys with enormous potential, just waiting for that one chaotic moment to finally snap into place. And Van Dijk standing at the back, still holding this entire duct-taped underdog ship together. They aren't the strongest, they aren't the favourites. They are flawed, patched up, and vulnerable. But here's the terrifying thing about a team that knows it isn't the best. They have absolutely nothing to lose. When you strip away the suffocating expectations, when you have no crown to protect, you swing the sword a hell of a lot harder. A country that taught the world how to play this game, still trying to prove once and for all that it can finish its own story. Sometimes they were the greatest team on the pitch and still went home empty. Sometimes they were the defeated villain in someone else's greatest night. They have tried romance, brutality, pragmatism, chaos. Sometimes it worked. Mostly it didn't. Dutch football is not just a tragic story of missed penalties. You're looking at 50 years of unfinished business. Sure, it was flawed. It was agonising. But my God, it was real. A wild, deeply flawed storm of chaos, gritty and romance. The Orange Storm still know how to make every hair on your arm stand up. Whether they make it to the final line or not,